I was 5 years old when my family immigrated to the USA. To someone living in a border town in West Texas, what that meant was packing up and driving 1 mile across the International Bridge to the tiny town of Presidio, Texas. We rented several homes before we finally settled less than 1 mile from our front door to my precious Mexican territory. My roots were set in Ojinaga, Chihuahua. Although our immigration story is nowhere as intense as many out there is no doubt that it marked my life forever. The juicy mixture of both languages was common and many times expected in places of business, worship, and entertainment. A person easily switched from hola to hello, ¿qué se le ofrece to how can I help you? This is part of the border town culture and flavor, something special found nowhere else in the States. Of course, this is in the social realm of language, not so much in the academics. As a sequential bilingual, I was surrounded by Spanish the first 5 years of my life. English was not dominant on my side of the border. I knew how to read and write by the time I was 5 years old. My language learning was strong until my first day of kindergarten in the States. Everything was overwhelming. I did not understand the commands shouted out by the teachers who tried to give me directions by doing direct translations instead of scaffolding their instruction. This led nowhere. I received pull-out services with an ESL teacher and soon adapted as part of the low reading groups with other students that were just like me. I was good in math, but not when I had to read it. Numbers I could handle, word problems not so much. By 4th grade, I found my floater and grabbed on. I began to navigate the English curriculum and developed an ear for poetry. I thrived through poems and language became a game. One day, between cigarette puffs, Mrs. Oates laughed in my face and denounced that I had copied a poem because, well, I was just not capable of writing it on my own. I immediately shut down. Something magical happened in 5th grade when Mr. Barrett introduced me to Greek mythology. He knew he had me hooked and used that bait to move me along. I credit Mr. Barrett for my literacy success, knowing that the reading material he exposed me to was at or above grade level. Grit and determination mixed in with a passion turned into a love for reading. My language journey has been parallel to my cultural journey. Language and culture are intertwined and one cannot exist without the other. By putting a language down, we puncture the essence of the culture in which that language thrives. Language inequities were present throughout my childhood. One language would lead to accomplishments and successes, while the other, my language, was the language of the help. I didn't see my command of Spanish as an asset until I moved to college. The mixture of culture and language and the appreciation of such was refreshing and energizing. My language seemed to reach an equitable stance to the dominant language, and bilingualism was a great thing. I had to relearn how to not be embarrassed or afraid to speak Spanish. I was surrounded not only by other languages, but different dialects and regional variations of Spanish. I continue to discover how influential language can be, particularly in our current political arena, where language inequality reigns and English is seen as superior to those of us with a second language. I use my voice to support and serve dual language teachers who serve emergent bilinguals and feel overwhelmed at the similarities in our journeys. I feel thankful for educators like Mr. Barrett who transform the lives of students like myself by finding that special bait that guarantees the successful bite into knowledge.